How excited are you for Saturday, and is it more excitement because of the opponent, or is Tim Sylvia just another big guy that you're going to go in there and slap against?
Oh man, that's a great question, and it is way more intense because of who it is and what he is. So I don't know if you believe in manifestation, but I believe as a young man I might have manifested this fight. I used to say all the time I had dreams of becoming a big-time UFC fighter, which those were, cut short. But I always said that one day I was going to fight Tim Silva for his belt in the UFC, and here we are, some 15, 20 years later, and I might not be fighting him in the cage for the UFC, but I'm going to definitely test that chin at the barrel and see if I can take his hit for sure.
Do you think, and Tim Sylvia is a friend of mine, I've known him, through the UFC days. I've covered the UFC since the very first one, UFC 1. I was there when he won, his titles in the UFC. Do you think that him getting a lot of eyes is great for the new sport of slap fighting? Or is it Tim really doesn't even deserve all of the commotion and all the media exposure that he's getting?
Oh, he definitely deserves it. I mean, that's the hardest part about fighting him because, like I said, I'm coming from a big fan. So part of me wants to see him as a champion again. Unfortunately, that championship is mine. So now I have to stop him from getting that, which is bittersweet. I was a huge fan of Tim Sylvia. Huge fan. We're a lot alike in a lot of ways, both big, tall, aggressive, dominant men. I think it's going to be a great fight. I know I've already seen that he's going to put me to sleep and RIP Neanderthal. I don't let none of that bother me. On the same hand, I ain't going to sit here and talk a bunch of crap either because, it's a slap game. It takes 4 pounds of pressure to knock the human body out. I know we're all a little bit different. We do this on, a pretty continuous basis, so we're used to being hit and we're used to, giving it back. So it's not quite the same. But yeah, he definitely deserves every bit of it. And I do think that his namesake's going to do a lot for the sport. I was super happy to see him come in. I'm not so fond of realizing he was in my division and that this was going to go down, but I'm glad we're there. We're just a few days out. I'm super excited. And I liked him. A lot of people have, they take him as cocky, but I see it as cockiness earned. The man has went to war with some of the most dominant men in MMA. He's earned every bit of his cockiness. I have nothing but respect for him.
A lot of times people, take the brunt of, hate or whatever for the wrong reason. So when Tim won the belt back in Anaheim, and I made a phone call to a mutual friend of Tim's and mine. We went to see the Dodgers play San Francisco. They bumped, and I won't say publicly who they bumped off of throwing out the first pitch, so that Tim could go throw it. So Tim starts to walk out to throw the first pitch, and I'm like, Tim, what are you doing? You've got to wear the belt. Wear the belt when you go out there. And he did, and then he got ripped for wearing the belt when he threw out the first pitch. That was me. That wasn't Tim. So, like I said, a lot of times you get the blame for things that's not necessarily your fault. With you being a fan of Tim Sylvia, a lot of times fighters say, I like him, I respect him, but I waited too long to block that out. Are you going to be able to turn that switch on and off to, hey, he's a great guy, great background, now it's off, it doesn't matter his name, it's somebody who's going to slap you in the face and vice versa?
With him, I can, because he's been through this a million times. He's been through way worse. So, yeah, it's going to be no problem with me. I won't shut off of that respect and friendship, but I'll definitely go to the barrel with that killer instinct. I know my job, and I know what my job is. Now, do I think I'm going to completely succeed? Because, a lot of people right now are all talking to me about, they think I'm going to knock him out in one hit, and I'm like, guys, you're crazy. Have you ever been around the guy? His neck and head is so wide and thick, I think I would need a baseball bat to knock him out. The way I feel that this fight will go in my favor is if I can survive all 10 rounds, because I know that I'm not going to throw penalties, and I know he throws typically 2 or 3 before he cleans up his slap, but he also has to take a lot of his power away to clean up his slap. So I feel like It's sad to say because I should be a lot more confident in my ability. But if I win, it'll be because he knocked me out with a foul, or I survived all 10 rounds and threw a cleaner fight than he did.
So
now I'm not going to sit here and think that it's in my mindset that 5-time UFC world heavyweight champion is just going to knock me out in one hit. I'm not saying that's not possible because it definitely is, but at the same time, I also know my limitations, and I feel like I can take what he brings to the barrel.
So Neil, talking about that, the power of manifesting, when talking about if.
Did he give you permission to abbreviate his name? You have to say the whole thing out. You don't just say
Neanderthal? Like Neanderthal. Like you got to say it with a deep voice, like from the diaphragm.
You're good, man. You call me. Call me Nick, Neanderthal. I go by a lot of names, man. Grasshopper.
Well, I want you to go by winner. I want you to go by winner and champion this weekend. But you got to take away the limiting beliefs of if and might and hope. You're going to go in there and you got to manifest that victory in your mind, just like you visualized fighting Tim Sylvia in the UFC at one point. You got to believe it, bro. You got to and go in there and do what you do. And let's show the world. I got a Tim Sylvia story for you though.
What's that? I want to hear.
So I've only missed one flight in my entire life. And it was at a concert in Vegas. Randy and I were
the Bronx Wanderers, or live in concert.
Friends of mine. And my flight was getting ready to depart, and I had to get to the airport and take an Uber. And they were going out afterwards, and I was in the row. Afterwards we all hung out with the band and got to know Vinny and his dad and everybody. And
is this a quick story?
Yeah, so Tim's so big that I had to walk around him to get to my Uber, and I missed my flight. That's how long it took around to get around Tim Sylvia. That's the only flight I ever missed in my career.
That was the first thing I mentioned to JT, was that if he did win against me in the event that he won, he would have to get him a different belt because, I'm a lot smaller than Tim, waist-wise, and that belt barely fits around me. It dang sure ain't going to fit around me. They'll have to order him a bigger belt for him to support it around like he's probably wanting to if he wins. Just like you said, and don't think my ifs and buts. I've taken all combat sports like that. I do dribble it around in my head, every possibility that could come out. But at the same time, I wake up every morning and, I tell myself I'm capable. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm the champ for a reason. And if I wasn't able to compete against this man at the stage I am in my life and do well, God would not have me in this position. He has never put me in a position to where I wasn't capable of handling it. And I'm completely confident in handling myself up there.
And I feel that. I feel your words are genuine, bro. I feel it.
Already, and nobody's put me down yet.
Let me ask you this, obviously MMA fighting or boxing or whatever, now this new form of combat comes up, SlapFIGHT. This happens to be SlapFIGHT 34. When did you know, how did you know, and how do you decide, I'm going to attempt this slap fight, and you go up to somebody and say, hey, slap me?
So I learned about it through, obviously like everybody else, the internet. I just didn't realize that somebody that I knew in the MMA scene had started it. So it wasn't until I started seeing the Hulk's videos of him doing it. And Josh is somebody that, I don't know if you knew our backstory, but he had beat me twice by decision previously to us fighting and slap fighting. So I always had that monkey on my back about wanting to finish that. So I was really wanting to get here to slap him. And he kind of pointed me in the right direction to get involved in the sport. And then, JT had me do a fight previous, and apparently I did well enough to get that title shot with the Hulk, and we got that off, and now we have the belt. So, it's just like serious mode from here on out, because I know competition's going to do nothing but get better. Even if I beat Tim, when I beat Tim, I still have guys like Casey who, I'm sorry. And I forgot his fight name already. That's terrible.
You gotta have a good fight name. The Neanderthal is a great fight name. You'll never forget that. They won't. Yeah, they won't forget yours. You hear that? You hear it one time and it resonates.
He hears this too because I've watched this guy fight and we talk on a daily. Grizzly. Sorry, Grizzly, for forgetting your name. But Grizzly, his first showing, I thought he did really well, but he was rocked a couple good times in that fight, and his opponent was, hitting with center blocks out there. But then you see Grizzly go up against Tim Sylvia, and Grizzly's a whole new guy from his previous showing. I mean, he's swinging harder. He still made some fouls, and I feel like that's the only reason he lost the fight. But, I mean, that guy was throwing heat and taking heat the whole time. I don't think that I've seen a significant rock from Tim on the Grizzly. And so now, if that guy shapes up his penalties, he's going to be a contender in the future that I'm now going to probably eventually have to defend my title against as well. Or if I lose, he's definitely going to be a guy that I'm going to have to fight to, get back to where I want to be. Because, like I said, this belt's mine. I mean, I have a hold of it, and it's like my kids to me. Like, my oldest daughter right now makes fun of me because I literally every night I sleep with it. It goes everywhere I go. Once I know I have a fight, it doesn't leave my side until I lose, or once I win, I'll come home and I'll put it back in its case, and that's where it'll stay. And until JT gets a hold of me with another opportunity.
Wow. Let's talk about Saturday night. I will be there in attendance. I fly out tomorrow. I'm very excited to attend for numerous reasons. I'm excited to attend SlapFIGHT 34. I'm excited to watch you and Tim Sylvia go at it. But I'm also excited to another extent that this is underground. Very few people are going to be there. It kind of feels like naughty, and I'm not supposed to be there, which makes it even better.
I mean, coming from a fighter standpoint, too, it's the same feeling. It's kind of different, because I'm used to doing things on such a legal level, and now we're in this gray area where it's not quite legal or illegal. So yeah, it's the same feeling, I feel like I'm almost back into my teen days making choices that I probably shouldn't be making.
And you have to sneak into the house through the back door, it's so you don't get caught.
I don't think he's sneaking anywhere with that size.
What?
Yeah, I'm not good at sneaking.
You're not sneaking anywhere.
Hide and seek was probably terrible for him.
He gets out of his Sherman tank into the driveway to walk into the house. What do you?
Yeah, I think the only difference between me and Tim sideways is size-wise is a little bit of weight. I mean, we're pretty eye to eye.
Which I wanted to ask you about that, because when Tim has been on in the past, he's like, I'm so much taller, I'm so much bigger, they're going to have to slap up to reach my face. It appears that's not going to be the same in this.
Yeah, in fact, whenever at the last show that I attended, which was, a year ago, and I called him out because I've heard all about how he's talking all this crap about how I'm just a belt holder and I'm just keeping it clean and safe for his uniting with it. And I just get to a point, well, now you got a couple wins, let's stop talking about it and let's get it over with, because now I want to know, are you going to be the one to take it from me, or are you not?
So it's all the competition. So
yeah, right, and it's getting deep here. When I first started SlapFIGHT competition, most of the super heavyweights were in between trying to cut down to heavyweight, didn't really want to be with the super heavyweights, and I was the biggest guy. And now here we are a year later, and I'm the smallest guy on the roster. Like, JT told me he would find competition, and he did not disappoint. He finds it on a daily. And I believe one guy, Leviathan, he makes me and Tim look small. That guy's 6'7", 6'8", and well over 400 pounds. So, yeah. When he says that he'll get you in MMA, I ran into it a lot. Very few people would fight me. A lot of people would back out last minute. And so I thought that was going to start to happen here, because he was like, well, you won the belt. Let's take a little bit of a suspension. You heal up, and I'll let some of these newer guys get some wins under their belt, and we'll bring you back in. And it was no time. I mean, you got guys that are coming in almost 7 foot tall and nearly 500 pounds. It's like, man, let's dial back on the height and weight here. We just need super heavyweights that are around the weight, not mountain men.
Exactly.
So Mr. Thal, I guess
now it's Thal.
Well, it's his last name. It's me and